Hello and welcome. I am Lopamudra Moitro and you are listening to my weekly podcast, What's in a Story, where I read stories from my books along with a small introduction about each. These stories are from my work as an anthropologist from across India and South Asia, and the introductions with each story helps to explain different related information about, say, maybe aspects like history, languages and literature, music, trade and economy, festivals, or facts about archaeology, and many other things which are all important to understand or get a meaning or a context of a story. In this second season, we will listen specially to narratives of and about water bodies from Asia, and this will include stories from the smallest of water bodies like wells or small ponds to lakes, rivers, or the sea and the ocean. Let's listen to today's episode in season 2 of What's in a Story. About today's story. In today's episode, we will be looking at two rivers from Bhutan, the Nakichu and the Geichu rivers. And this is from one of my research papers on water narratives of South Asia from 2019. Now, today's story actually follows the immediate 2 episodes of What's in a Story, and also the discussion that we were having over about how in folklore and mythology, rivers are represented in an anthropomorphic form. They're depicted as sometimes as a male or a female, and how these can be seen across multiple main rivers across South Asia as well as their tributaries and distributaries. Now, in the immediate last episode about the Tista and the Rongit rivers, which flows through the regions of Sikkim, followed by Bengal in India, and then through Bangladesh, I'd also mentioned that often there are many folklore about rivers and the manner in which they flow. That is, if they have a straight flow in particular regions or areas, or if they heavily meanders or forms oxbow lakes in the process, or deltas at the mouth where they meet the sea or the ocean, or if they cut heavily through mountain ranges, or cuts and forms very deep valleys, etc. So basically all of these wonderful natural creations of and by the rivers, which of course can be explained and has been explained by through geography, geology extensively, and we now know the reasons as well, and they have all been scientifically explained. We have, perhaps all of us have even come across these in school as well, but at the moment, while discussing the narratives over here in this podcast, we will be looking at interestingly how man's thinking has actually given shape to specific stories which gets reflected in the folklore and the mythology of regions and areas, and these are actually the thoughts from the times when these natural phenomena, the occurrences, the features were still not properly understood, and in an attempt to explain the same, the human mind tried to provide explanations, giving rise to these many narratives of folklore and mythology, and some of them thus weave within themselves, within their subtext and their storylines, various aspects of nature, which of course can be scientifically explained, but the narratives of the folklore provides a much more simpler take on this. So today we will be looking, as I mentioned, at the 2 rivers of Bhutan. These are the Nakechu and the Gechu, where Nakechu is represented by a snake and Gechu by a boar. Now, Nakechu is also known as Chu Nap or the Black River, and the Gechu is also known as Chu Kap or the White River. These rivers flow through the Phobjikha Valley, which is actually a glacial valley at an altitude of 3000 meters, that is around 9600 feet above sea level. It is located in central Bhutan and is quite a sparsely populated area. It borders the Jais Wangchuk National Park that has extremely beautiful exotic wildlife like the red fox, leopards, wild boars and many more. Now, Phobjikha also happens to be the largest of all wetlands in Bhutan, and thus it is significant and a very interesting feature that takes place over here every winter, that it becomes a nesting ground for the black-necked cranes, which the locals call as Thrung Thrung Karmo. Though the key occupation of the villagers here is agriculture, yet mostly turnips and potatoes grow in the fields. There is a main scientific reason behind this, that it is too cold for rice to grow. But the story, this narrative, this folklore about the two rivers basically and exactly tries to explain this phenomena, that why rice does not grow over in this area, but it grows further down in the region. So here follows the story about these two rivers from Bhutan. The story. So this is the interesting legend that connects the rivers Nakechu and Gechu of Bhutan. And very interestingly, not only does this folklore speak about the physical feature that of the river, that is which particular type of the river it is, whether it cuts straight through the valley, whether it meanders its way through the valley till the confluence, the meeting point of the two rivers. But it is also interesting to note that this folklore narrative centers around the very fact that what kind of vegetation grows in the area. So here goes the local legend. The Nakechu symbolizes a snake and the Gechu symbolizes a wild boar. One day the snake and the wild boar decided to have a competition to see who can win a specific race, and this race was to dig their way through channels and reach to the area of the Gangtey monastery. So they told each other and they agreed upon, they placed a bet that whoever wins the race will be awarded with a specific ideal, and that was that if the wild boar won the race, the valley would not be able to grow rice but something else instead of rice. And if the snake won the race, the area, the Phobjikha Valley, would be cultivating rice. So the snake said to the boar, "Let us race to the Gangtey monastery. If I win, farmers will grow rice on this land, and if you do, they will grow potatoes instead." Now, however, it was decided that if rice was not to be grown at that place, it would benefit the lower regions and it would be grown in the lower region of Athang. So the competition began. The snake and the wild boar began digging their way through the valley and digging as fast as they could to beat each other to reach the finishing point. Finally, the wild boar was able to dig a straight path through the valley and reached the finishing point, that is the confluence of the two rivers. This confluence still stands today, and where these two rivers meet is popularly known as Pakchu Sam. Now, on the other hand, the Nakichu, whose path was being dug by the snake, kept on flowing through several twists and turns through the valley, meandering its way greatly through the valley, and thus the snake took a long time digging the channel and reaching the same place of the confluence of the river. So, the wild boar won over the snake, and that is the reason it is said and it is believed, according to this legend, this folklore, that the Phobjikha Valley does not have rice grown even till today. And very interestingly, however, the place has potatoes and turnips grown in abundance by the people living there. And these beautiful pristine rivers, actually they are so clear, they even can be seen clearly through viewfinders even from a distance. So this is the story, the folklore, according to the local legend, of these two very beautiful, pristine, famous rivers of the Phobjikha Valley of Bhutan.